Hello, my name is Panagiotis, and today I'll be presenting my project on an experimental analysis of undetected malware and the development of YARA rules for detection. Some of the project aims and objectives include performing a static analysis on undetected malware sample from the residue repository, identifying suspicious strings within the malware sample, utilize a range of analytical tools and techniques such as YARA to enhance detection capabilities of undetected malware, develop and refine YARA rules on identified patterns and behaviors from malware analysis, contribute to ongoing research in malware analysis and effectiveness of creating YARA rules. Some of the technologies I've used include having my safe environment to isolate my own from my network to avoid infecting my host system and my network. Like I had my VMs to make sure I had all the tools necessary to do my analysis without actually reducing all the risks. Moving on, I had to have my open source antivirus solution, which is ClamAV. ClamAV is a free antivirus solution that anyone can download online. This is what I'm going to use to scan my repository of malware. As you can see, there's a residue repository. This carried a lot of malware samples. Then using bash scripting language which I wrote like a custom script to extract all the malware samples to extract all the malware samples and to automate the process. Strings.exe. This is what I've used to extract all the strings within a file, which I found quite useful. YARA, this is what I've used to write my detection rule, and this is the focus of this project is producing effective YARA rules. YARA, this is what I've used to look at the code samples, like do reverse engineering, decompiling, looking at the assembly code, at the C code, and strings. It also offers like a strings function to look at the strings. Moving on, I had my process diagram and methodology which link together because before moving to the next step, you had to make sure that step is met before moving to the next, which links to the waterfall. Like for this stage, I had to have my safe environment set before moving into doing my ClamAV scan. This is where it involves scanning the repository of malwares, isolating my undetected sample, performing a static analysis, developing custom YARA rules, testing and refining YARA rules, and evaluation. Malware extraction script. So this is the script I've used to extract all the password protected zip files. Instead of doing it manually, which basically you have to go into each malware, unzip the file, and type in like the password needed. Every password had every malware was password protected, which was infected. So in this case, it'll extract all the zip files, unzip them, and put it into the extract directory. This is done by using this. So basically, this is all the extracted zip files. So when you unzip, these are all the malwares, and basically, to run the script, just do that, which links to my step-by-step guide. As you can see, if you want to replicate this, so the code is provided here. You can follow the steps I've done to do it. After the unzip of the file, it will perform like a clam scan. Sorry, but this is detecting it now. It will run a clam scan onto each of the malwares, and then the ones that were detected by ClamAV, it will store it into the quarantine directory. And yeah. So packed malware. Before crafting my YARA rule, I had to do static analysis on the this on the malware, which at the beginning I found quite difficult because it was packed. It was, which meaning there wasn't much to analyze, there wasn't much to reveal, as the strings were limited, as you can see. Running a string analysis only revealed 2 strings, which made it more difficult on YARA. So looking at the code, it had a lot of repetition, which is a behavior linked to obfuscation. It had like the Swiss command, which is like a system interaction, a low-level system interaction used in old malware. Then during my analysis, I managed to identify some strings I found suspicious, like killdraw.dll file. This killdraw is was a custom DLL, which is basically a DLL file that is not in Windows. Also, after unzipping the file, it revealed like this CPL file. So every time the user would run this CPL file, it will infect the user. So the malware would consist of the CPL file is basically a dynamic link library DLL file, which is a shared code file used for functions, user interface, and in Windows basically. And yeah, so during my analysis, I managed to identify the packer, which is UPX. UPX is like a common packer used to compress the file and basically hide everything the malware would do. This and what it is, it will basically compress it to a much shorter version. I managed to find this using the strings command, using the strings.exe tool, which I found really useful. For detection, I managed to I run the testing. At first, I had false positives, but then I adjusted the YARA. I made changes to the logical conditions, and I made the strings more unique to the malware, which then didn't detect the false positives, which was the CPL files. As you can see, these are all the Windows files for the actual CPL files, legitimate files that are not like, yeah. And then I did the testing, which did detect the malware. So this is the packed version detecting it. Moving on, I then managed to unpack the malware. So moving down to my step-by-step guide, as you can see in, where is it? Yeah. So step-by-step, step 6. This revealed the actual size after following my steps. This will reveal the actual size of the byte of the malware. Then it will change the hash. The hash changes completely. So before in the packed version, the hash was completely different to the unpacked version, because the file changes, everything changes. So it revealed like a complete different file. So when I did the analysis, it revealed even more strings, as you can see, unpack.cpl. Revealed even more strings and more code. So but yeah, revealed even more code. Well, this is that's the packed version. It didn't reveal anything there. So this one revealed even more code, as you can see. Yeah, more strings. This is it. And yeah, so during my investigation, I managed to find more CPL files. So these CPL files were attractive for users. So it will contain like anything related to gaming, anything related to pornography, inappropriate content. I'm not gonna say them because they're quite inappropriate. It also identified I managed to identify like a suspicious URL. So this URL is not detected by all antivirus systems, but it's detected by 5 other engines, which shows it's suspicious, malicious, as you can see. So virus, this is virus total. This is basically has 72 antivirus engines. So you basically put the hash in and it'll detect it. So this is what I did for my malware at the beginning. And also during my static analysis, I also ran the strings command, which is here. Some screenshots. I did a grep search on some certain strings that I knew were bad behaviors. Then on unpacked version, so I listed out some of the common CPL files that would basically be could be that were basically used by the malware to drop into like shared folders, because the malware is a worm. It basically a worm can spread on its own via email. It can spread silently without the user knowing. So basically, this malware would, when the user clicks on the file, the malware would write to the registry file. So every time the user turns the PC on, the malware will run at the background, which will basically adjust the registry files. It can open the door to other infections, other attackers for control. It will basically change things within the registry. It can still like email users, like credential users, and yeah, it basically it works at the background, so looking for more people to infect. It just spreads. Like these CPL files can get dropped within a shared folder, which is a fact within the malware. So these are the common ones I listed. So I'm not going to list them; they were a bit suspicious. Some registry. Registry and system interaction where I found to be quite useful and quite suspicious and useful, so I needed to list them. So one of them was TPFO, which was linked to kernel level access or privilege escalation, which could indicate low-level tampering. So the URLs here, and then I tested my YARA rule and some of the conditions, so detect 5 CPL or more, and yeah, then when I do where's my unpack, so this is what I do. So I run the YARA rule, as you can see I can run it again, detects it, and yeah, and moving on. Then I checked for some false positives, which I had false positives. Then I had to go back to my rule, make changes to the condition, and adjust the strings, making sure that it's more unique to the malware. And it didn't flag any of the CPL files, as you can see. And project management and project evaluation. So during my time of project, I had to keep track of all my meeting times. So I had a document where I kept track of all of my meetings with my supervisor, who guided me throughout this project. I had my Gantt chart. My Gantt chart basically had my steps, had a step-by-step broken down, so I had to make sure I meet each step before moving to the next, because of the because I had to, there was so much to do. I had to make sure I had to do each step, get each step before moving to the next, basically. Yeah. Checklist of objectives. So for this presentation, I discussed the objectives. The tools and techniques used were listed. So I spoke about the YARA, what I've used, the analysis, which took a bit of time, process of static analysis mentioned. So I looked at the strings, looked at the code, identified some patterns like repetition. Some of the findings I found I listed out in the in my strings. Some of the YARAs developed shown to detect the samples, which I shown detected in here. Linking the diary to user guide, so I managed to link the diary to the user guide, which is the step-by-step guide. And project management and evaluation, so this is what I've discussed now. And yeah, checklist. Thank you so much. And